Hello everyone and welcome to another Wrestling Matters podcast, EPW special. That's right, third one. And this one took place, well this one I'm going to talk about is the one that took place April 20th, the day after the April 19th show I was at, and took place in Redcar. There were 6 matches altogether, and we'll kick off the match with, we'll kick off this round right now. Oh, and by the way, during this show, I'm going to be dropping a pipe bomb at some point during the show, because I feel the need to drop a pipe bomb and to shoot. So I hope, Chris, if you're listening to this, I hope you are. Please heed what I'm saying on that pipe bomb if you are listening to this. If you want me to tell it to your face, gladly will. We start off the show with Micky versus Rampage Brown. Now, great way to start, quick match. Not a lot happened in this match, but I'll go through what I wrote down on my notes. It was a great mat-based wrestling to start the match, back and forth till Rampage Brown took control of the match. Managed to get an advantage over Micky. Rampage uses his power and takes complete control of Micky, and when Micky tried to mount a comeback, Brown was always one step ahead of him. It was just like no matter what Micky could do, no matter what Micky could try and do, Brown was always a thinking man's wrestler, so to speak, and always had that proverbial one step ahead. However, to a point, Rampage always tried to test the limits of the referee, to a point where on occasions the referee could have turned around and actually disqualified him, but he didn't. Micky started to mount a comeback and goes up top till Rampage cut him off. However, Micky was able to knock him off and come off with a diving elbow and gets a near fall out of it. A beautiful diving elbow, very effective diving elbow. Micky then goes back to work on Rampage, but Rampage was able to counter with a Samoan drop and managed to pick up the 1-2-3 and get a victory over Micky. A good win for Mr. Brown, and a good way to start off the show, so to speak. An okay way to start off the show. Now on to where I'm going to drop the pipe bomb, so to speak, but I'll get to that in a second. But the next match on the card was for the EPW British Heavyweight Championship belt, involving the Master Destroyer with Vixen. Looks like Prince of Mean loaned Vixen to the Master Destroyer for the night, and he challenged the reigning champion Supermark. The match started with chain wrestling again, just like in the first match. Kind of like a feeling out process, and the Master Destroyer was eventual winner of all that and took control early on. More chain wrestling turned into mat-based wrestling, and the Masked Man getting a near fall in the process. The Master Destroyer took full control of the match, tossing Supermark outside, gets the ref distraction, and Vixen gets a cheap shot in. Nothing the referee could do about it because the referee didn't see it, and nothing Supermark could do about it as well because he was still feeling the effects of the Master Destroyer's beatdown. The Master Destroyer controlled the pace of the match and pushing the referee's limits. Boy, did he ever test his limit. Like I say, the referee could have disqualified him then, but he obviously realised it was a British title and people didn't want to see a disqualification, they wanted to see a winner, so he let the match go on, but he could have pushed him out and disqualified him. Vixen gets involved again. Hey, I'll give her credit, she learns from the best. She's learning from Prince of Mean, I'll give her that. Master Destroyer controls the match with a few dirty tactics here and there. Basically, there was nothing that Supermark could do about it. Supermark tries to mount a comeback but failed, and the Master Destroyer continues domination of the match, so to speak, and there was nothing Supermark could do about it. Supermark was able to mount a comeback and this time was able to take control of the match, but the Master Destroyer took control back and gets an armbar and wears Supermark out on the floor with an armbar, kind of like an Alberto Del Rio armbar, trying to make the guy tap out, but was unable to make him tap out. Masked Destroyer is getting a near fall from the top rope splash and mocking Supermark, and basically having fun with him and making fun out of him and having fun at the expense of him, so to speak. Supermark was able to capitalise on a mistake by the Master Destroyer and get a near fall by delivering a famouser, which is Billy Gunn's move, as you well know if you watch WWE. Supermark goes up top, misses a top rope elbow, and the Master Destroyer gets a near fall out of that. The Master Destroyer once again takes control and starts his dominance again. A very questionable thing happened here, I must admit. Now, I do not like Vixen. I don't like who she associates herself with. Prince of Mean. I do not like Prince of Mean, full stop. There was a point during the match where I don't know if he was whipped to the ropes, I don't remember it, but I believe it was. Supermark bounced off the ropes and Vixen was trying to grab Supermark's leg, however she missed. But granted she was involved in the previous two, I think the referee in my opinion made a mistake by kicking her out. Yes, there was an attempt to get involved, but she didn't touch Supermark this time around at least, unlike the previous two. But the referee saw it and saw fit to kick her out and send her packing backstage. And with that happening, Supermark managed to mount a comeback with some clotheslines and using CM Punk's neckbreaker to set up for the Daniel Bryan knee, which got him the 1-2-3 and got him the retainance of the British Championship belt. Now, with all that being said, I didn't think it was possible to be annoyed watching this match. And now I'm not annoyed, let me just clear this up. No, I'm not annoyed of the fact that these two had a great match, because they did. They had a great match, and that's not what I was annoyed about. My annoyance was the ring announcer during this match. So ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever on this EPW special, or my EPW specials of the Wrestling Matters podcast, I'm about to drop something that I like to call a pipe bomb.
In anybody else's hands, this is a microphone. In my hands, it's a pipe bomb.
Now, with that being said, Chris, I hope you're listening to this. I've got to ask you, what's this ring announcer all about? Okay, is he a ring announcer? Is he a color commentator? Is he a manager? Is he a cheerleader? Because during this match, he absolutely annoyed me. Because all you could hear was him cheering for Supermac. Yeah, give him this, give him that. In my opinion, okay, and this is just my opinion, I've got nothing against the guy. Let me clear that out right now. I've got nothing against him at all. Nothing personal against him. I've met the guy. He's actually a nice guy, good guy. But what he needs to do is sit at ringside and do the job of ring announcing, which is introduce the people and back and forth, blah blah blah. But when the match takes place, he needs to shut up and sit at ringside and just there and let the referee count the three. He shouldn't play a cheerleader for the fans to get involved in a match. That should be done by the wrestlers in the ring. You know, the wrestlers should be allowed to dictate where the fans play into this. I mean, if the fans feel what they're producing, then the wrestlers have got him. You know, the wrestlers have done their job. They shouldn't be allowed or shouldn't rely on him on the outside playing cheerleader. When Vixen got involved, obviously the referee couldn't see it, but he's on the outside shouting the ref, trying to get the ref's attention. I don't understand his, where it comes from, but I have to say, despite the fact that it was a great match, he annoyed the hell out of me. I mean, what's his job, man? He should have one job and one job only, and that is to introduce the wrestlers, and do the match at the end and announce the winner at the end and all that. He shouldn't be playing cheerleader. And most of the time during the match as well, I mean, I didn't realise that Supermac had a manager, because it felt like he was managing Supermac during the match, cheering Supermac on. I don't know what his game is, I don't know what his role is with you. Only you know that, Chris. But Chris, you need to seriously sort this out quick, in my opinion. Okay, and this is just me giving you advice. Sort it out, okay? He's either a ring announcer. If you want him to be a commentator, I heard you talking about commentators before. If you want him to be a commentator, then get him to be a commentator. If you want him to be Supermac's manager, then play him as Supermac's manager, for Pete's sake. Not that Supermac needs a manager. If you want him to play cheerleader with the fans, I mean, you don't see that in WWE. I would say you'd see it in TNA, but Jamie Borash used to do it when TNA was doing the weekly pay-per-views on a Wednesday night. You would see him cheer the crowd on and get them rallied in. Whether you're trying to play it like that, that's a different matter. But sort it out, because I'm sorry to say this to Mass Destroyer and Supermac, despite the fact you guys having a great match, but watching your match on YouTube, I had to watch it mostly during the match with mute buttons, with the mute button on, because the ring announcer annoyed me. And I'm sorry to say that, and that's not taken away from you two having a great match, but that's just the way it was. But like I say, kudos to both of you. You had a great match, and Chris, please sort this out, because you're begging me to come back. I wouldn't want him doing that in my matches. I wouldn't want him being like that in my matches. I want to be able to dictate the fans whether or not they feel me or not. Because at the end of the day, they pay the money to cheer who they boo and who they should be booing or cheering. They're the ones that pay the money and pay the right to do that. They don't pay the money, sit there and have people like him cheering them up, try to cheer them on and try to get them into the match. They should be able to dictate that themselves. Because at the end of the day, they pay the money to watch the shows. They don't pay the money to have him play cheerleader for them. Anyway, that's the end of that. I digress. Now on to the next match, which I guess you could say was the first main event of the evening. Johnny Moss challenging Doug Williams for the EPW World Championship. But this turned into a double title match, because there was some European title belt that Doug had. There was some European title that Doug had with him, and he agreed to put that belt on the line as well as the EPW Championship. It turned into a double match, so to speak. And like I said, I'll go from what I got down from what I saw on YouTube. The match started with some chain wrestling. It was basically a feeling out process. Can you tap this kind of thing? And from what I saw, Doug seemed to be winning that and taking full control of it. And then Doug began to prove early on he was one step ahead of Johnny Moss by working on his arm. Yep, he had that strategy of working on the arm and really working on the arm as well. Trying to use that and turn it into a proverbial bullseye for him to work on in later on stages of the match. Doug gets a near fall on Moss. Moss being too close to the ropes though. It's just one of them things. He tries to get a near fall on him and get a quick win, but Johnny was too close to the ropes. Starting looking to play a game of one-upmanship on each other, like I said early on. Then till Doug backdropped Moss, and Moss goes out on the outside to slow the advantage down and the momentum that Doug was building. Moss came back in, and Doug from that point on took control of the arm, and Moss was able to get back into the match and hit a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, belly-to-belly, well-executed suplex. And then it turned the tide a little bit because Moss began to stay one step ahead of Doug Williams. This was a relatively even match between the two, and it was back and forth in the final stages with Doug getting an advantage. Benoit suplexes by Moss, and I think as he was about to hit the third one, Doug was trying to counter it to no avail, and Moss managed to hit the third suplex out of the three. Doug found himself sitting on the top rope, and Moss hit a beautiful Hurricane Rana. It somehow got to the point where Moss it was like a chain wrestling match between the two, and chain wrestling, who's going to get a quick advantage, and Moss managed to get a low blow in on him to the referee's non-vision, so to speak, and managed to get the 1-2-3 and get a win over Doug and become the new EPW World Heavyweight Champion, as well as the European Champion as well, that European belt as well. So Moss came into the match with no belts and left with both belts, so to speak. Great match between the two, great wrestling between the two as well, and pretty good match, and Moss came out victorious and managed to get the 1-2-3 on his opponent, Doug Williams. And now on to Damien Hellfire versus Mark Anthony. Now, this match started off a little odd, if I may say. Odd being, the referee ordered Hellfire to take whatever he had on his arm off. I don't know, there was some sort of an illegal spike on his arm, I don't know what it was. It didn't look illegal, just like something that he had on his arm kind of thing. However, the referee took it off, asked him to take it off, or demanded that he took it off, because apparently it was dangerous to one. I don't know. If it had been me in there, I'd have said, I'd have requested to keep it on, so I'll just stick it up his rear end, but that's a different story. But it was just weird anyway, because it didn't, from what I saw on YouTube, it didn't look harmful, but hey, it was what it was. Then the match eventually got underway, and Mark Anthony got distracted, and then Hellfire attacks him looking for the early advantage, but Anthony turned the tables on Hellfire. Yeah, trying to get a cheap advantage. Hellfire backfired, and Anthony turned the tables on him and took control of the match. And one of the highlights in the match was Anthony did a version of Undertaker's Old School, so to speak, where Taker walks across the top ropes and jumps on the guy from the top rope thing. And it was beautifully done, quite frankly. And I've been asked to do that many times, but I don't think I would. And well, let's just say the last time someone tried that on me, he had a painful experience, to say the least. But be that as it may, Hellfire takes full control of the match despite Mark trying to mount a comeback. Yeah, after that Old School, Hellfire got control and just remained dominant from there. And Anthony did try to mount a comeback, but it got to a point where Hellfire ended up picking up a chain. Ref demanded he remove the chain and put the chain back down where he got it from. But instead of putting it down, he throws it away. The referee goes to pick it up, and then Hellfire hits Anthony with whatever he had in his hand after that. It was a foreign object or some sort of illegal object, and it was kind of like, to me, it was kind of like John Cena versus the Big Show at WrestleMania 20 kind of thing. He goes to pick up the chain. It was, as a matter of fact, I take that back. It was a carbon copy now thinking about it, because he takes that back, because he picks up the chain, throws it away, and then goes to pick up whatever else he had, and then clobbers Anthony with it and knocks Anthony out. But the connection was different, I suppose, to the WrestleMania 20 Big Show John Cena match, because Big Show fell back on the ropes and got a feud. Hellfire just knocked Anthony out and then set him up, went up to the top rope, delivered a beautiful swanton bomb, and got the 1-2-3 and got some sort of I say cheap win if Mark Anthony, but he got the win nonetheless and got the 1-2-3 on Mark Anthony as well, Damien Hellfire. Now on to the Power Dragon and Highland Fury versus the Asylum and Karate Kid. Now, the team of Karate Kid and Asylum, Karate Kid, I had the great pleasure of beating up in that Royal Rumble on April 19th. Go and check that video out if you see it. You can see me beating his rear end up in the corner and holding him out for Doug Williams as well to beat him up as well, which is kind of cool. Karate Kid and Asylum in control early on, tagging in and out, keeping Highland Fury away from Power Dragon, isolating the Highlander and basically using great tag team wrestling. As expected though, the Power Dragon and Highland Fury kept Creative Kid, took advantage and kept the Kid in their corner, isolating him, quick tags in and out, and using Asylum to get into the ring to get a 5 count, to get what usually would be a 5 count with the referee's distraction kind of thing. Basically testing Asylum's temper in the match, trying to get the cause of disqualification. Yeah, I mean, it worked very effectively for Power Dragon and Highland Fury, making use of the 5 count, though in this case probably a 10 count kind of thing. And they continued the dominance from there on in, Power Dragon and Highland Fury that is, and Asylum eventually got the tag and threw Power Dragon outside and hits his version of the Black Hole Slam on Highland Fury to get the win, while Karate Kid dived off the top rope onto the outside onto Power Dragon, completely taking him out, which was pretty cool. Yeah, Karate Kid's a quick guy, good wrestler. Like I said, I had the pleasure of beating him up in the somewhat in the Royal Rumble and holding him out for Doug Williams and that. I don't know who he got eliminated by, I don't remember, but yeah, it was a pretty cool thing and pretty cool tag team match. Very short match, not as long as the EPW Championship match kind of thing. Yeah, it was a pretty short match, but a good little tag team match as well to set up for the main event, which was the Royal Rumble. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, that was next as the main event, which contested of the following contestants were Micky Finn, Master Destroyer, Super Mark, Damien Hellfire, Karate Kid, Highland Fury, Asylum, Mr. Sin, I believe that was his name, Mark Anthony, Power Dragon, Doug Williams and Johnny Moss. It was a good little Royal Rumble, good little way to end. Very good use of the setup as well for it. What I don't get on this Royal Rumble is when the crowd are shouting 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, doing the countdown kind of thing. It always seems to get up to 3, 2, 1, and as the crowd are trying to go 3, 2, 1, ring announce a pipe bomb that I pipe bombed on it earlier on. Always seems to go 3, 2, 1, go. What's up with that? Either do it properly or don't do it at all, man. I mean, that's just another pipe bomb. I really don't know. I've got to talk to Chris about that, seriously, and I'll probably will at some point. Anyway, Micky Finn was eliminated by Power Dragon. The Master Destroyer was out by Micky Finn. Superman got eliminated by Highland Fury. Damien Hellfire was out by Finn. Karate Kid was eliminated as well, I believe. I can't remember who he was eliminated by, but he was in there and he got eliminated. Highland Fury was out by Asylum. Asylum came in and got eliminated by Power Dragon. Mr. Sin was out by Asylum. Mark Anthony got eliminated by Doug Williams. Power Dragon was out by Johnny Moss, and Johnny Moss got eliminated by Doug Williams, allowing Doug Williams to win the Royal Rumble and get a little small measure of revenge for Johnny Moss, beating him at the end in that championship match earlier on, that double title championship match earlier on in the evening. Yeah, so I guess a little bit of sweet revenge for Doug and a well-earned victory. Like I say, all the links will be in the description. If you see this on YouTube, make sure you go on YouTube. Make sure you go on the link, subscribe to it. Great EPW action. There's another link out there as well. I'll definitely put that in as well in the link. Old school, new school, great EPW action. Go and check it out. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this podcast. Redcar EPW special, April 20th, the day after the Corbin New and Middlesbrough Mania show. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Anthony Walker. Until next time, peace out. Download the Wrestling Matters podcast now on podomatic.com and iTunes for free.